Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Garrett Harding and I make videos right here on YouTube to help you get better at using DaVinci Resolve. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you the whole process that I'm going through to make the Fast Fridays intro from start to finish. All the way through, I'm showing you the whole thing, and then in tomorrow's video, which will be a Fast Fridays episode, you'll get to see that actually used in a YouTube video. So pretty fun stuff. Before we get into that though, I do have an announcement to make. I decided to open up a Patreon, and this is not to say by any means that you have to go over there. Everything here is still going to be free, but if you want to help support the channel a little bit more than just by watching the videos, as well as gain access to a private Discord server where other people who are interested in DaVinci Resolve, who can help you answer your questions or just get things figured out, will be hanging out, then that's a great thing for you to do. And actually, I'm also introducing a new feature where I'm going to be doing a live stream for Patreon supporters on Saturdays starting at 1 p.m. Eastern. Probably going to go for an hour, hour and a half, maybe a little bit longer if we get into stuff. But that'll be a great way for you guys to be able to get in contact with me directly and ask your questions in a way that I can show you the answers live in those live streams. They might go live on YouTube later on, I haven't decided yet, but for now, they're only going to be private access for those Patreon members. So if you're interested in supporting what I do here on the channel, make sure you head over to the new Patreon and check out the page. Without any further ado, let's jump on into making a branded intro. Here we are inside of Epidemic Sound. I used to use MusicBed for things like this, but I got away from them because I started using more sound effects in my videos, and sound effects, they're really important, and MusicBed didn't have them. So I switched over to Epidemic Sound, and if you want to do something similar to that, there is a link in the description down below that will bring you here so you can sign up. We are going to start with something that's going to have some good drums, some good beats to follow, and something that I personally am probably going to like. So we're going to go ahead and get started looking around in the funk section. So I like to keep my BPMs a little bit slower, so I generally go somewhere between 90 and 100, which is not super slow, but it's good for like swing. I'm going to listen to a bunch of these songs, and once I have found a song that I think is going to work for our intro, I'll show it to you guys and explain why I think that that is a good choice for this video. Okay, so I just found the song that we're going to be using. It's called Follow Me While the Horse by Cosp. And actually, while I was listening to this, I kind of decided that I was going to use this for the intro, but I also kind of flipped around what I was thinking might make the intro look like. So you guys will get to see the new, fresh version that this song just kind of inspired me to put together. So this is the portion of the song that I'm thinking I'm going to be using. So give it a listen real quick. And we're going to use that, but you only want just a small section of it. So when you're doing this, it helps sometimes to skip around in the songs because you can see the waveforms, so you can see where the general feel of the music kind of will change. So we went to right here before it goes into this like secondary drop type thing, and we're going to use that piece right there for our intro. So I'm going to go ahead and hit this download arrow, download the full mix instead of the stems, which they also allow you to do, which is pretty cool. And then we're going to go ahead and drag this on over into our Resolve file, and we're going to pop into the edit page. So now we have our song, we just need to extract that part of it. So we're going to double click on it so that it shows up here in our preview window. Then we're going to find around where we were, right there, and then we're going to hit I on our keyboard to set the in point, and then we're going to play it, and in a few seconds we'll hit O to set our out point. Right there. We'll call that our out point. We'll drag this down in here, and if we look, we're just about 5 seconds, which is perfect for the length of video that we're making on Fast Fridays, because generally they're just a couple of minutes long, so you don't want to spend a lot of time watching an intro for that. All of these things are things that you have to consider when you're making an intro, because you don't want to drive people away from your videos, because then you're not getting anybody in your videos. You're getting bad watch time, all this stuff. If you're not on YouTube, you don't care, probably. But if you're making an intro for a YouTube video, you definitely want to keep it shorter, like under 20 seconds, I would say. So we have this, we have to find where our beats are. So as I listen through this in the editor, in our timeline here, I'm gonna press M to make markers. So they're like little flags that show up, so I can actually make my edits on those frames, which is pretty sweet. So we're gonna go ahead and go through and do that. Alright, so we've got kind of a rough draft here. I'm going to watch through and just make sure that those look good to me now as well. So these are weaker beats that we're probably not going to do much with. So yeah, that looks good. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take this one out as well. So we'll use these 3 points as our reference. So now what we need to do is click on our effects in our toolbox over here. If you don't see that, go ahead and click on Effects Library in your top left. And then we're going to drag a fusion composition out here on top of our audio. We're going to extend it so that it meets the end in the same spot. And then we're going to click on it and go into Fusion. And this is where we're going to be building almost the entirety of this intro, is right inside of Fusion. So if you need to brush up on your Fusion skills, definitely check out some of the videos linked below that are going to help you get more comfortable using Fusion. Regardless of that other video being out though, if you do have any questions about anything that I do here, please ask them in the comments down below, because I like talking to you guys and I really don't mind answering your questions. It's fun for me. So the way that we're going to start with this is text. I want this to be a fairly simple intro, even though I said the things that I said about kind of changing the idea a little bit. We're still going to keep it fairly simple. So what we're going to start with is just some text. So I'll go ahead and add some text, and I will show this in viewer 1 by pressing 1 on my keyboard. And then I'm going to go ahead and type fast, all capital, because that's the look that I'm going for with this. And then I'm going to use the same font that I use for most of the channel, which is Gold Bill Extra Large Light. I got that from defont.com, I think, and I just really like the way that it looks. It's clean. I just like it. We're going to start with this, but we don't want it to be this small. We want it to take a pretty good chunk of the screen, since it'll be there with only one other word, but it can't be too big, because then when we put Fridays in there, it's going to look weird. So we're going to go ahead and hold Control and scroll out, and then we're going to move this up top here. Then we're going to grab our layout controls, and we're going to keyframe that since we're at the first frame. We're going to do the same thing with another text node, where we're going to drop it in there, and we're going to make this one say Fridays. Same way as before, and we're just going to do Gold Bill, just like we did before. We're going to put this one in the second viewer, just so that we can see what we're doing. We're going to put this in the first viewer as well. We're going to put this one in the second viewer, and since we want to see these together, we're going to need to add in a merge node. So we'll click on merge, or we can hit shift spacebar and search for merge. Oh. And then you can add a merge in that way as well, but we're just going to use the button. So we are going to go ahead and run these in together so that our merge, which we're now going to put in the second viewer, is able to see both of these things. So we're going to bring fast down, and you'll see right there. So we're going to try to match those sizes more or less, but also Fridays is a larger word. So if we want to get this just right, we can line up the corners of those F's, and then we'll just increase that size until they are very simple. That looks pretty good size-wise, so we'll drag this down. And since we want this to be horizontally in the center, we're going to go ahead and double-click on center, and then we're just going to affect the Y adjustment here. And then we're going to grab this, and we're going to move it up. And we want to put this above the window that's being viewed, because we don't want it to be seen until we bring it into the frame. So we're going to drag this one down below, just like that. And now our merge has nothing in it. We need to keyframe this one right there. And the easiest place, once you're in here, other than keeping notes, to find where you need to be editing is to just go ahead, pop into edit, click on one of your markers here, so just get right over that, and then go into Fusion, and you'll see we're on the 16th frame, just where that marker is. So we're going to go ahead and set keyframes here for both of these, and set keyframe, and we'll open up this one, we'll set a keyframe, And then we will just do this for each one of the markers so that all of our keyframes are exactly where we want them to be. Right there, that's keyframe there. Good stuff. And then we'll go to the next one, add in another keyframe for both of these. Bang, bang, just like that. And we'll do that again here. So we'll go keyframe, keyframe, good stuff. So now let's get to that first keyframe right there, and then we'll go 6 frames back, because I don't want this to be too fast where it doesn't look like anything, but I also don't want it to be too slow where it feels like it's dragging. So what we're going to do here is set another keyframe where those things are still off of the frame, and then we'll get back to our first keyframe here where we're going to go ahead and bring fast onto the screen. But we want to do that smoothly, so we're going to go ahead and open up our spline editor, and we are going to go right here and make our text 1 center path show up right here. So we will find where our keyframes are, we will highlight the ones necessary, and then we're going to go ahead and ease them in and ease them out, and then we have these handles that are going to allow us to affect the way our keyframes move between one point and the next. So we're going to go ahead and hit play. So it drops in with some acceleration, and then we need to bring this next one back down to the center. We're going to have to do this every time. I kind of goofed. So we're going to check that out. Comes in, drops on, pretty fast, looks like. And then we're going to do that same thing, but we're going to start Fridays once fast has completed its drop. So we're going to move forward 6 frames from this keyframe, and then we're going to go ahead and bring Fridays up into the picture, and we're going to do the same thing to these keyframes that we did to the last ones. We're going to go like this, we're going to highlight these, and then we're going to go ahead, right click them, and ease their in and out. And then we're going to drag these sliders on up and around, and if this is weird for you, just tweak these until you find something that you like, because eventually you'll get to a point where you're like, oh, that one, that's the one that looks good, I'm going to use that one. You're going to go ahead and play, they both kind of zap in. This one again, once we get to this next keyframe, we need to bring it back up so it doesn't have all that drift. We can copy paste that right in here, and then now they'll be at the same place, so there won't be any of that drift. Oops. So hit play, comes in, they both snap to where they need to be, and then they go away. But we're going to have them go away to the side, because when I do the outro for this, I'm going to have them come back in. And then we're going to go ahead and check it against the music and see if we need to make any tweaks or things like that. So we are going to grab our keyframe that we have right here. We'll go ahead and put our other values in there as well. So we're going to grab our text number 1, we're going to go back to here, we're going to grab that Y value, and we're going to impose it on this keyframe. And then right here, I want to start having fast move off the screen. And I want that to happen relatively quickly, so we're going to go ahead and move forward 8 frames this time. And then we're going to zap that way over here off the screen where it's not going to be seen anymore. As soon as that T starts to leave the frame right there, that is where we're going to start taking Fridays off the screen as well. We'll keyframe it right there, and then 8 later, we're going to bring that one off the screen as well. And now that they're both off the screen, the rest of these can just go away. So get rid of those. And then that dead space at the end there will be used to fade out or transition into the actual video. So this is a rough draft right now. Fast Fridays, stays there for a minute, zap zap, gone. So one thing that you can do that is always going to make things like this look much better is go into the settings tab here, add some motion blur, add as much as your machine can handle. I'll even go higher than that, I think. And then after you've set these, before you try to play it, go ahead and save your project. Fast Fridays intro. Saved. Good. So now if it crashes, you don't lose anything. So we'll go ahead and hit play. Comes in, waits a while, goes out. Looks good. So we'll go ahead and check this out on the edit page so we can see what it's actually going to look like with the music. So I'll go ahead and hit play here so that you guys can see where we're at. So the beat is not quite as strong as I would normally like to see it, but I feel like the song is fun and engaging. So I'm going to try to add some things in that are going to maybe spice it up a little bit, like maybe have it pulse on a bass hit. So we're going to check that out again and see if there's a good spot to put one of those in. I'm watching this back right now with the music, and I think we're gonna wait to have Fridays come in until right here, because there's a little bit of a wood block hit right there that would be really nice to have that be when Fridays finishes its ascent into the frame. So we'll go ahead and make sure that this spot here is keyframed. So grab this, keyframe it, we'll go back to the previous keyframe where it is in, and we'll just delete it. So with dunk, and it's going to smack into that right when that wood block hits, or at least it should. So here we go. We gotta wait for this to render a little bit. That's looking much better already. So we're gonna go ahead and about halfway through, we'll give it a little bit of a wiggle or just something just to spice it up a little bit. Even though it is 5 seconds long, you still have to try to keep people's attention. I'm gonna go ahead and get back into Fusion here, and then on this merge node actually, we're gonna put some sort of warp. Let's check out OpenFX. Yeah, we're gonna use the dent warp. And we'll just filter that right in there. And then we'll make that bigger so that it has everything inside of it. I was just working with a couple of different warps, and I don't think they look quite right for our specific little clip here. So I think I'm just gonna add in a wiggle right here. Maybe I'll bring it off to the side so that it kind of has a little bit more acceleration when it goes back to being off screen. So I'm gonna take fast, and I'm going to go ahead and go back, say 4 frames, add another keyframe, go 4 frames forward, and then I'm going to zip this on over to this side. And while that's happening, while fast is moving over, so let's make sure we're on that frame right there, we're going to go ahead and take Fridays and give it a little bit of a wiggle. So we're going to get into our transform menu here, and we are going to start where this starts moving, and we're going to take our rotation. We're going to keyframe all of them because I don't remember which one we need. Then we're going to go forward 4 frames, and right when that thing is finishing up where it's going, we are going to go ahead and wiggle a little bit. Yeah, so we're going to wiggle like that. So between these 4 frames, we're going to wiggle 1, 2, wiggle, 1, 2, wiggle, 1, 2, back to center. So let's check that out a second. It's over, wiggle, zips off right behind. Alright, I think that's gonna look good. Let's check this out. Nice. So that is actually looking really good. I think that's what I'm going to stick with. So now is when we're actually going to bring in the sound effects that I mentioned earlier. I already have downloaded a couple of swoosh sound effects and some whooshes and different movement sounding sound effects from Epidemic Sound. They make it really easy for you to find them. So I'm just going to grab a few of those real quick, and then I'll pop back in here. Alright, so I'm going to check this one out. Yeah. So we're going to bring this sound effect in right as our first word is coming down onto the screen just like that. And this doesn't really need to be as perfect as a lot of people like to try to make it. Just while it's in motion, it's quick anyway, so your brain's gonna hear the sound and see the thing happening at pretty much the same time. It's gonna be pretty difficult for it to look wrong right here. So we'll go ahead and hit play. And you hear that there's like a whoosh, and it happens as that beat is hitting. So your brain is like, oh, that thing made a sound when it moved. It just makes it feel more real because your brain is connecting that thing that's happening with a sound that would happen if something was to whip in like that. So then we have to do the same thing with Fridays. So as Fridays is coming up, we're going to bring in a different whip. We're going to shorten that up on the front end there. We're going to drag that on over there. We're going to press N so that we're not snapping. And we'll go ahead and do that and see how about that one. And real quick, we're just going to disable that song just by hitting D while it's selected so that we can watch it with only the sound effects. That is a little bit early right there. So with the music going, let's check that out. I bet you that will look fine. Yeah, so they both make their noise, and then as soon as this fast starts moving again, we're going to throw in this digital glitch sound that I found as well. So, and then we need 2 more whooshes and whips and whatever, and we're going to add those in right here. So we find right about there, and we'll say that this one can go right there. And then we'll bring in this next one for when Fridays leaves. And that's it. So we'll have that fade right there, the audio. And then we'll call that good. So we'll cut the excess audio that goes past where we want the end to be, and then we're going to put a clip under here to see how it looks. So we'll go ahead and import a previous screen capture and just make sure that we can see through that. Yeah, so as that pops off of there, we'll have, so we'll fade in from this one. There you go. So now we know that it works. We're going to go ahead and close that out. We're going to take this fusion composition and we're going to export it. So we'll go deliver and we'll make it an MP4, and then all that's fine. So we'll add this to the render queue, we'll render it out, and then I'll show you how we're going to use this on a project. New project, tester, and then we're going to import. So we have our intro there, and we're also going to and this is kind of important actually, so don't click off. I know it looks like we're done, but I need to show you one more thing. So you'll bring in your project, your clips that you're going to be using, and then to put your intro on top of these, you're actually going to run into some issues here. So if we watch it, it's just black. It's no longer see-through, which is not what we're after. You're going to want to go ahead and click on it and change your composite mode to screen, because that black background is going to completely go away if you're using the screen composite mode. So it'll still happen the same way. We'll move that toward the end, bring that in, and then it's just whatever you want behind there, you're gonna get. It's that easy to use it on your new clips, but if you don't know that you're supposed to change that to screen, you're gonna run into this where it's stuck as a black background, and that's no fun. So make sure you change it to screen. That's how I made the intro for Fast Fridays. You'll see this exact one in tomorrow's video, which make sure you're there for that because there's always more learning to be done. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, and like I said at the beginning of the video, make sure to go check out that Patreon if you're interested in supporting what I do here, these free tutorials, and just helping me pay my bills and feed my dogs. So, I will see you tomorrow for episode 4 of Fast Fridays. Until then, I hope you have a great night.